Now, with that said, you're thinking like, okay, didn't you say something about a tool of the day at the start of the video? I believe I did. If I didn't, I apologize. I meant to. It took about a month or so for this thing to come in. Held all the, I think some of the gloves, to be fair, were also not in stock. But this is kind of the cream of the crop, probably the most exciting thing for the vast majority of you. And it is Hazet's part number. And just like that, we are back with the Hazet 760-2. Currently, this thing is spendy, $126.99. It was not that spendy on Tool of the Day. Sadly, I don't remember what it was on Tool of the Day, but I remember I mathed it, and I decided it was a good thing, and that's why it's here. So, where do we want to cut? I guess I'll just go through here. The great thing about this, you have no idea what it is, unless you bought it as well on Tool of the Day. Then you're like, oh yeah, I know what this is. I just got mine recently, or around Father's Day. Is this a troll bag? It's a troll bag. I just cut that and look, it's totally sealed. Unbelievable. Alright, we're just going to ensure success this time. We're going to go through the side. Man, it just feels like we should have had Hazet scissors here, I'm telling you. Alright. So, I don't know that I've ever had a canvas type pouch from Hazet. We've had plastic. We've had their smart cases, we've had smart rails, we've had canvas from Vera, canvas from Knipex, canvas from Stahlwille. I don't think I've had canvas from Ghidorah. Had L boxes from Ghidorah. I don't think we've ever had a canvas case from Hazet. Cool. So, there's also something I can feel on the back that you'd have no idea is there. It is a belt clip, a big old man belt clip, right? And I'm going to tell you, I oftentimes am not a fan of cases, but if you recall back to a couple tool hauls ago, when I pulled these out, these are like mint condition here, so don't think these are my EDC. These guys right here, particularly this, tears holes in my jeans. I've showcased it, I've done that, you know, like now, I told you, like, it's really weird, you know, I usually have the knees go out before the pockets. I never have pockets really go out often. These suckers, it's all I can figure, because I've always had the keys, I've always had the knife, and I don't walk around with a knife open, so the only thing that's really changed is this is sharp, you know? And I finally had the knee blowout. I basically walk around and look completely homeless now. Not only am I filthy when you see me, but I also have jeans that are torn up, so it's either 1991 or I'm homeless, and it could possibly be a combination of those two. But this is Knipex XS pliers wrench and XS Cobra. Thinking like, XS? Why would they call it that? These are tiny. Well, don't think of XS as in excess, but as in extra small. And you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense, right? So you got 4-inch, essentially, is your form factor for the pliers wrench and Cobra, respectively. And you're thinking like, no, I didn't know Hazet did that. Well, they don't. But if I bring this up, sorry, I am not taking the tape off, but this is the only 125 millimeter is roughly 5 inches for us old school people. So this is just plastic dipped Cobras. Another kind of small tool I have in that size range is these. I actually really, you don't often see me with these, but I use them quite a bit behind the scenes, little Stahlwille pump pliers. Pretty sweet little setup there. I do not think I have a pliers wrench that small, so I can't really showcase that to you. I think my smallest is 7-inch, believe it or not. But if I turn around from Hazet, I got these. You're thinking like, okay, what's that? Well, that's kind of like their universal pliers, their take on a Cobra, if you will. It's got the unique little push button, kind of one-hand adjust. And you're thinking like, man, I don't remember those having, you know, Hazet blue on the handle. I thought they were like black and maybe double dipped black over that. Well, you'd be thinking of something newer, like the 762-26. This is going to be the 10-inch pliers wrench from Hazet. Again, buttery smooth, very easy. Now, several people, because I talk to a lot of people about this stuff, that actually do tend to prefer these over some competitors. This is what I have. I don't have 7-inch, 5-inch, 6-inch, 8-inch, 12-inch, none. This is pretty much it. If you wanted Hazet, you know, water pump pliers, this is what I have to offer you. You wanted a Hazet Pliers wrench, this is it. This is the one in the box. If it ain't in the box, I don't know where it is, and I don't have a backup or spare or some in a different location. So if you haven't put 2 and 2 together with Hazet water pump pliers and pliers wrench, the 5-inch stuff, and the 4-inch Cobra XS and pliers wrench XS, take a wild guess what that 2 means. If you're thinking, could it be pliers and pliers wrench? Hey, look at you, right? Deductive reasoning in action. It's a beautiful thing. I do have to say, a lot of times, I know these pouches are made in Poland. I have no idea where this one's made. It could be China, it could be Taiwan, it could be German, it could be Poland, Austria, who knows. But just initial impression here, it seems good. It seems about the same as the Stahlwille and Vera stuff. It's stitched nicely. I don't see anything frayed. Usually, when you have something like this and you've handled it even just this much, if it's junk, you're going to start having fraying, or you're going to be like, whoa, that just came undone. So far, in the very, very brief time we've had this, it seems legit. Oh yeah, that's a great look there. Let's check this tag out. We didn't read those paper manuals with the gloves, so we'll read this. Hazet. All right. This is going to say German. Don't know, again, that could just be about the company. I have no idea, but look at that. Yes, this is exactly what I hope you're thinking it is. Do we go pliers wrench or dun 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 dun? All right, now I'm gonna tell you right now, I am serious. Jeans are expensive, and I hate shopping for that type of thing. Yeah, hey, if I can go into Harbor Freight or a tool store or something, yeah, hey, I'll do that all the time. Groceries even I'm okay with, but like clothes, yeah. I don't want to go be around people and try stuff on because they suck and they always change their sizes, and you don't know if the same thing that you bought 5 years ago, even though it's the same size and fits, is going to be too small or ginormous, because it's quality control and change of materials, and what I like gets discontinued. This is a constant, and I sincerely appreciate that. So what we have right here is going to be the little gem known as the 760-12. That could be misleading. You think 12 would be like a 12-inch. Not in this case. There's the... Put your googly eye there and have some fun for a few minutes, right? But these are actually executed quite nicely initially. Now the question is, will they Ooh. Man, that's smooth. That is absurdly smooth. Taking a look at our teeth. Pretty aggressive. Looks like they're oiled quite nicely. Come in here. Yeah, that feels very aggressive. Maybe more so on the bottom than the top. I guess that's... I'm not impressed there, but like this seems way more aggressive. Let me take a quick visual. I guess there are more teeth on the bottom. But what I have in my hand, if you're interested, would be, again, the 760-12. This has 13 positions. Crazy, right? Something that small, 5 inches, 13 positions. This will grip in this position up to 27mm flats or 32mm round. That is kind of insane. That is a very large socket, right? That's your 1/2 inch, possibly 3/4 drive stuff. A lot of 1/2 inch socket sets don't even go there. They're going to stop 24, 27. 32, that's a pretty generous size for a 5-inch tool. Okay. Price point, if you were to buy this standalone in this iteration, you would be looking at $50.49, right? Kind of spendy. To put that in perspective, this guy right here, 5-inch Cobra, again, ignore him with the blue tape there, that was me, $32. This is why, so many times, Stahlwille, Gedor, Hazet, they might make great stuff. The vast majority of people will never know, outside of some idiot like me, someone like German Tool Reviews that went and bought the stuff and put it head-to-head for you. And it's in part, this is kind of a known commodity. There's so many more out there. People love them. People report back. They don't have issues with them. They're generally happy. The tool trucks have them with private labeling. Price, again, $18 difference between these two. I think a lot of people are going to say, you know what, I'm going to go with a Knipex. It's $18 cheaper, and it's a known thing to me. Maybe these are fantastic. Maybe I would have loved them, but 18 bucks is 18 bucks, especially if you were going to come in and buy a 5-inch pliers wrench. You would be looking Knipex pricing at like $53.46. This is $65, so I should say this is $65, so $12 difference there. If you bought Knipex, you essentially just saved $30. With that $30, you can get yourself more Cobras, a pliers wrench, a pair of side cutters, some screwdrivers, a couple pairs of gloves. I totally get it, right? It is a shame that so oftentimes the other German tool companies are priced out. Now, Knipex, that's their thing. That's their jam. They do pliers, okay? When they sometimes private label or work with, like, you know, Vera or what have you, you might come in and could get their stuff cheaper elsewhere, right? This is sort of like Coke, and you're like, man, this stuff is perfect. I wish they had wrenches. Well, they don't. They don't make wrenches, you know? And you're like, oh, geez, I'll just have to go KTC or Asahi or something. This is a Hazet, very expensive catalog, and again, German made. But the price point is kind of what keeps people away. There could be a good chunk of you. I mean, if we come into all the Knipex users in the world, and price wasn't an issue, like, you could very well prefer this, but you're like, I don't know if I like it better for 20 bucks. And again, tool of the day, sales, Black Friday. Maybe you want like a 6-inch pliers wrench and Knipex didn't have it, or it was out of stock, and you're like, no, I've got to have it. Outside of something like that where you kind of slot your way into the brand, it's sort of hard to justify for a lot of people. Now, someone like me, you know, like, I'm super into this. I want to know firsthand. I could watch German tool reviews and he could say, man, the Stahlwille is superior across the board, but they're expensive. And I'm like, huh, okay. And I'm like, I'm going to get Stahlwille. But like, how much better is it than Ghidorah and Hazet and Knipex? And I kind of want to find out for myself. Once I find someone I trust, you know, like German tool reviews, you kind of like, okay, yeah, I tend to agree with pretty much everything this guy comes up with. But it's still cool to try it out for yourself. If I came in here right now and told you this is the best screwdriver you can buy, some of you are like, cool, I liked it too. You know, others of you are like, well, what was second place, you know, and why? And then you're going to be like, okay, well, Ghidorah was in second place. Let me go check it out. I hate Ghidorah. I wouldn't put that at number 2. And eventually, you know, you'll find like, hey, I agree with this person. We must have the same preferences or taste or hand size or something. And you might have a deal where some channels, you're like, man, this is like spot on what I would say if I was doing the video. Others of them, you're like, good grief, I don't know how you could possibly like, you know, the Koken ratchet better than Snap-on, and what's wrong with this idiot? Or Mac, sick. You know, my Matco and gear wrench is superior. You sort of have to, you know, build up your knowledge base as you go. And if it's like, if I'm the guy like gloves, you're like, oh, dude, these are legit. You know, he was right. And then you go and you try the wrenches I say to try. You're like, yeah, I don't know about that. They're not bad. They're pretty good. I could see why you might think that, but I prefer this. You sort of have to build that up and make your own decisions. And then ultimately, the best thing that could happen is if everybody had access to the Hazets and to the Stahlwille and to the Ghidorah and to the Harbor Freight. I mean, even Canadian people. You know, if you live like in the northern ends of Canada, like, you got to pull some strings to get that stuff from Harbor Freight. Doesn't matter that it's cheap. It's like the logistics of getting it to you, right? Similarly, there might be brands, you know, like in Canada, you know, like Gray Tool or something. I'm like, man, I really want to try those pliers. And guess what? I can't get the things. It's a nightmare. Japan, you know, there's a lot of stuff that's not readily available to purchase in the U.S. outside of really shady avenues that I don't trust. And so I never get to experience them firsthand, right? So it is, the auto dub stuff is really bad on YouTube. Like, the voices, yeah, they kind of kill some stuff. But I'm glad that that's a feature now, because it opens up like a ton of stuff to me. There's a couple of channels I watched from Japan that were like, they sort of dubbed them themselves in text form. And I would just like have to sit there and read while trying to watch the video. You know, and then now they kind of have this like auto dub, and so I'm able to like watch some stuff that previously I couldn't have without just being like, oh, you know, I have no idea what that means. And it's weird because, you know, you can tell that it's not like translating it perfectly. But when it's like, I broke this hex bit on the motorcycle, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, you know, and it's like, I did it with this breaker bar. I'm like, whoa, you know, that hex bit must suck. That's a tiny 3/8 breaker bar. And so you kind of get to a point where you sort of archive and learn and go to town. And again, the best thing is if you can try it out. If you lived locally and you're friends with me, it's like, man, I want to try out, you know, I saw your video, man, I want to try those things out. You know, and I'm like, okay. And you're like, dude, this is so awesome. You know, I'm left-handed and I can articulate that. Or, man, this is way better than Knipex. You get to experience it, try it, and make up your mind, right? This is what sucks about tool trucks. So many of you don't have a Mac guy, and you'd have to buy it online, right? If you buy it online, there's a chance you hate it. You get that Max 90 ratchet, and you're like, this thing sucks. It's too stiff. I can't believe it. My dealer says he's turned it forward and backward with a drill 10 times to break it in and seat a seal. It sucks. I never would have bought this if you had access to the tool truck, right? And that's the problem. You don't. You could have walked on that truck, and you could have been like, oh man, I really like that handle concept. It looks great. I think it's built like a tank. I wasn't sure about the circlip thing. I kind of preferred screws, but you said that's where the failures are. It's just not smooth enough. I'm going to stick with my snap-on. Similarly, the synergy ratchets. If you don't have a snap-on guy coming by, you know, you don't know, is it like, ooh, you know, it's the next evolution of snap-on ratchet. Is it great, or you're like, man, this sucks. I'm going to keep my dual 80. It's kind of sad when you have to go shell out $250 for the ratchet online, right? And you didn't get to just feel it out in person and be like, no, that sucks. I'm going to keep what I have. So I do my best to convey to you this stuff. And again, for the average person, tool of the day. Like, I didn't just jump out and buy these because I'm like, sweet. It's like, oh, tool of the day. No way. And I'm going to grab them and go to town. But to put it in perspective, and what's kind of funny, those 5-inch Cobras and 5-inch pliers wrench that you could pick up for 32 and 47, or 34 and 53 respectively, the XS is basically a wash. It's almost the same price in the Cobra. The pliers wrench, your 5-inch, is actually kind of cheaper. And then what's really weird, you can get up to, say, a 7-inch, a 10-inch, usually not 12 or anything larger. But there's many times I've been able to get like 10-inch Cobras or 10-inch plier wrenches for roughly the same as the XS or a 5-inch or less money. And it, you know, I assume it's the production volume is all I can really come up with, because it's significantly, it's twice the size, right? More material, more work, more weight, more packing, all that stuff. And then the price is lower. So always be leery of that, especially if you're just starting out and you're like, yeah, I really want to get this 5-inch pair. That would be handy, you know. Well, you could probably get the 10-inch for less money. And the 10-inch has a way bigger range and capacity and leverage. But, you know, then if you got those and you're like, man, I really need something like 5-6-inch might fit, you know, I just need this one little area and those would be perfect, then pull the trigger, right? But if you can pull that trigger, but these are $18 more, like I said, short of it being, you know, the Knipex is sold out and not expected back until September, and you're like, oh, dude, I got to have that for this job. You go and you overnight these and you come out on top, right? But these things are pretty, like, absurdly smooth. Absurdly smooth. This mechanism seems, and this is used quite a bit, like, I guess it's close. Maybe just the light weight of that makes it seem a little bit more nimble. But I think this was a great pickup, especially given the tool of the day pricing. That's just insane. The positions on this, where that was a 13 position on the plier, this is 12 position. It didn't list the specs, but I assume that 26, if we come in right here, I'm not sure you'll be able to see that really. The scale on this side, you can see 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and then 26. I assume that's what's going on there. Backside, sadly, we don't have an SAE Imperial type of thing. I guess if you had a laser, you could potentially mock that up somehow. You'd probably need to disassemble it to get like full access to that channel, and then it's kind of occluded a little bit, but it'd probably work if you really wanted to do it and you got the stuff. But yeah, this again, if you were to buy these two solo currently, which this sale price might be influencing things, you'd be looking at $50.49 and $65.79, which if we math that out, you're like $116. This is currently selling for $126. I think a lot of people would put $10 on that pouch, which is over here. Some of you may not. Again, always price things out. So oftentimes with German tools, at least I have found, it's actually cheaper to buy the sets separately. It makes no sense, but you know, it is what it is. I don't guess they don't like adjust for the North American marketplace and mindset. You know, German is more like, well, I only need the 12 and the 14s. I'm not going to buy, you know, the 15 and the 11 and blah, blah, blah. Whereas typically people over here are like, well, I'm going to get the whole set in case I need it. It's just like a difference in cultures, I guess, right? You know, just what you need versus what you might need. You know, it's very nice. I don't think people would argue with that, you know. And especially, I'm sure, like, there's the tool crowd, and they're like, blasphemy, I would buy the full set. How dare you group me in with those plebeians? But it is what it is, right? And what I want to know from you, if you cashed in on Tool of the Day, and this is very important, if you cashed in on this beautiful little set right here, and you've used it, how does it compare to what you had? I'm just going to assume that you're going to compare this to Knipex, because again, you probably have the Knipex and don't have other brands to compare it to. Snap-on now, some of their Talon grip stuff, they even have undipped ones, right? So, I mean, it's kind of expanding out. But the 5-inch is really kind of a sweet spot, and I don't say that as somebody that's like bashing the XS. I carry those every day, okay? You've seen them in my pocket. They're filthy, they're patinaed, they tear holes in my pockets. But this 5-inch, the extra capacity, and I do kind of like the texture of the handle, I'm not sure that it's not your better value. But again, you know, if you're trying to keep as bare minimum of a form factor as possible, by all means, XS it. But with this, what would you pick and why? How does this compare? You're like, man, you know, I wanted to try those. I felt like that was the first chance I'd had. I picked those Hazets up. I love them. I like them better than the Knipex. Or is it, you know, they're really good. I'd say they're about the same, but when you factor in the price, even with a sale, it's Knipex is king, right? Or do you like, man, I was so excited about those, I could justify it on the sale. I tried them, I used them, they're okay, but man, I just love my Knipex more. That is helpful information for people. That's what people want. That's, somebody sees this, whether it's the real thumbnail or the box, they can come in and say, dude, you know, like, those are so sweet, I'm getting them, I don't care. Or, you know, I was really, really interested in them, but, you know, like everyone in the comments says the Knipex is better, or even the people that admit they like the Hazet better can't justify it for the price. It's one of those things, and again, without you jumping out and expending the money to try it yourself, you just kind of don't know, right? So what I will be doing in the meantime is using those, and I'm very, very excited about it. I don't have a larger, again, updated water pump style, but I think these and their pliers wrench might be their shining items. I've got some pliers from them, they're okay, but the grips, I think they could kind of improve on those. This is a little bit more traditional and classic. Maybe not quite as textured as the Knipex, but softer. And then, of course, this is a double dip. You kind of give up your pebble grain texture, but it's not slippery, if that makes any sense. Again, hopefully some of you bought this and can kind of chime in. But be on the lookout for those. They're nice tools, and if you can catch them on sale or tool of the day, that's the time to buy. But with that said, I am sweating bullets in this place. I think it's supposed to rain too, so I'm going to try to get inside and shower. I'm not stuck up all night. It's going to be a very, very busy week at work. Good news is I think I'll get to start abusing these things on Tuesday, possibly tomorrow, but most likely Tuesday. So we'll see how that goes. Again, I'm very interested in the splintering aspect of this wood handle. And this one I think is going to be really robust. I don't know how the tip's going to perform. I've never put a Hazet through its paces. That would be like Oplast, right? So I guess technically Ghidorah might have fallen into that. I still feel bad about that Ghidorah because it was a freak deal. If I'd have known that staple there, I don't think it would have gone. But And it was such a sharp little guy. It was a 3.5 too. The ones that have broken have both been 3.5s. This is basically the same as the Stahlwille, and so I kind of can deduce I'm able to break it. This is a 4.0 actually, I'm sorry. Maybe the Stahlwille is a 4.0. I can't recall. It's basically that form factor, but I gotta go. It is hot, and kind of, like I said, we could make 2 or 3 videos out of this, but hey, it's a tool haul, man, and it's good stuff. So going to work, hopefully we'll see how they hold up. Maybe they break, maybe they don't. This set here with the pouch, super cool. Got it on tool of the day. And last but not least, the gloves. We've got the full gauntlet of Hazet gloves, at least that I know of. I will check the catalog, make sure, but we'll see how we like those. And this pair here is also going to work. So my the champion ones I have, the thing is, you know, like, you get them for free, but they wear out really, really fast. So with that said, thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned a little something. Again, please feel free to sound off. Have you bought the 811S Hazet striking cap set? How is it holding up? Do you use these as a striking cap frequently? Have they ever splintered? Or are you like, dude, you're wasting your money there. You're just going to blow that handle off. Similarly, the gloves, if any of you have first-hand experience with that. And you know, I always think about throwing out, you know, like people's reviews. And I think that's such a rare thing. I'm going to do it. So stick with me here. We're going to the El Cheapos here. $7.80 a pair. Let's see what somebody had to say. Yeah, scroll. Dadgum. Pleasantly surprised. This is from June 7th. I'm filming this Father's Day, so this is a week ago. Andrew said, I liked the look of these, and after having mechanic gloves that looked too much like ski gloves, I tried these. So he's wanting something thinner. They don't squeeze onto your hand like Klein's, which is one of my, I despise gloves that do that. That's why I don't like latex and nitrile. They feel like they're trying to strangle me. And they are easy to put on and remove. The label on the back of the hand has more writing on it, all the regulatory stuff. I do wish the famous Hazet blue was more like in the photo. It's really more of a light gray. Yeah, I see exactly what he means there. And let's see here. For the price, these are my favorite. I reordered more. Cool. The picture I have is actually light gray. So I don't know. Maybe they updated it after his review or something. A lot of times Casey Tool takes care of people that review things. But yeah, so we had a review on those of all things, and they were positive. So I knew it had to be recent, because I was like, man, I didn't have anything on that. But they call it Microfoam Nitrile. And like I said, that seems to be like the glove. I do get some freak, like, nice, I think the brand is like Juggernaut or something. People just, in industrial settings, like if they think they're going to sell something, they like throw crud at you. Or sometimes like the suppliers just give them a huge box, and if they happen to remember that they have it and they're supposed to offload it by the end of the week, they're like, here you go. And like, I'll get hats, and it's like, hey, you want a hat? And I'm like, sure. And then they come in with like 12 of them, and I'm like, there you go, that'll cover everybody. And you're like, oh, okay. But yeah, this is typically what you get. But again, I love my alpha ones. They're back ordered, so I'm gonna roll with these for a little bit, and I'll kind of see what my mom likes on these, and then the other ones I might throw in use. But I'm gonna quit rambling. I'm gonna get inside. I'm gonna try to cool down. Do hope you enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts on any of this, what you like, what you don't like. If you're like Andrew and you've used these and love them, if you're like me and you're like, yeah, my suppliers throw that crud at me too, and I actually use them, but they don't last. Knipex versus Hazet, tool of the day. Box, suspense, or laid out beautiful thumbnail. Let me know on all those fronts. With that said, I do hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned a little something. If you haven't subscribed, I encourage you to do so. If you do that, you ring the bell, you jump your charger across the creek, you load up with a complement of Hazet's 1987 glove selection. You grab your 811S striking cap, your tool of the day, pliers and pliers wrench. YouTube just might notify you we got new videos every Wednesday and Saturday, 9 a.m. Texas time. With that said, thanks so much for watching. Most importantly, I hope I catch you back here for more from the shop.